Hello Hornby fans and a big happy new year. It's range launch day and in our live today I'm joined by Carl.
Hello everyone.
And Martin.
Hello.
Range launch done, out there now, 2024 for everyone. So how are you guys feeling?
Yeah, good, very exciting. I mean, of course this is just the beginning. We do have a few more things to come to talk about later on in the year. But yeah, it's been very good so far. Yeah. Very interesting, good response generally.
Nice.
Carl? Yeah, I'm really happy with what people have said. You know, people have said about the range being smaller, but actually, you know, we've still got a heck of a lot of new stuff coming out this year, and it's all positive. It's, you know, we're heading in the right direction and getting models on the release dates we promised them. So,
which is now our intention now is to do that. Whilst there aren't, and it's obvious that there aren't as many new items in the catalogue or in January launch as what has been previously. If we actually look at what's still to come out from previous catalogues throughout this actual calendar year, we'll be releasing more products than what we have done historically.
Nice. And obviously this is your first range launch as head of brand, so.
Yes, yeah, and it's really exciting. You know, I've only been here for 4 months now, and you know, a lot of the hard work has already been done. But of course, now's when it gets in front of the fans and collectors. So it's always a nice feeling to kind of have it out there now and get on with delivering it and get on with working on the next one.
Yeah, and obviously, as Martin reiterated there again, we do have a slightly different type of range launch this year because we've got our January releases, but we've got some surprises coming up throughout the year, which is it's just a different way. We've never done that before, so.
Yeah, no, and it's not an uncommon thing now across the industry, and it works very, very well. It even works well for some of our other brands here at Hornby Hobbies Limited. And I think what it will bring is it brings just more excitement throughout the year. And the other thing is we can be a little bit more kind of controlled. You know, when it comes to announcing a product, we will have more to show. We can actually physically see people be able to see where we're at the stage, a bit like with Locomotion. You can see how far it's progressed, which means it's coming much sooner rather than being potentially a photograph. And of course, if there's an anniversary or something going on that we can kind of attach the announcement to, it makes the whole thing much more exciting.
Yeah, and of course, you never know what's going to happen when you're developing something. For, you know, no one knew, obviously COVID and things like that happened. So allowing that kind of flexibility means if you're not over promising something, which I think for everyone at home is obviously a good thing.
Definitely.
Now I'm sure the people at home have got their favourites, and there are a lot of different locomotives and rolling stock that can be picked out. Obviously, Locomotion #1 is the cover star of the catalogue, and we talked about that on the range launch video. And you've brought actually a running sample.
Yeah, this is the first engineering sample. I don't know if anyone can see that, but.
And I think while we're talking about the Locomotion, Nathan's just going to put up a little video that we put together this morning because this only came in yesterday. Of this running on the test track, so you can have a little look. Nate's going to give us a thumbs up that he's moved to that. There we go, big thumbs up. So this is running sample. So how did you feel about getting out there?
So Monday morning, I got an email from China who showed me a video of this run around track, and I was just amazed, really. You know how well they've got on with this model, and I was expecting there to be so many problems getting all of these sort of elements working on top, and the running of the locomotive, and it's out of the bag. It's running really smoothly. So I'm really pleased with it.
Nice. So then now at this stage, you'll test it on the test track for various different things, I assume. And
so we've already noticed a few parts we've got to strengthen up, we think, you know, just to improve the reliability of it. But it actually isn't too bad. I'm really surprised about it.
Nice.
But I think after this sample, we will be moving on to decoration samples. So
then what happens? Is there a form or something like that you're filling out that you kind of say, right, these are the comments?
Yeah. So we got a sort of standard template we work with, but we'll be sending off a whole report on the running of it and any part changes we want, and then they will move on to the decoration sample.
So I assume you'll have to test it with coaches and things like that, see what its power is and things.
So we've got some rolling stock now we're going to test with, thanks to the Cure Scout. So yeah, that's the next stage.
Nice.
We're going to be testing the rolling stock with it. So.
And someone in our range launch video asked about the couplings that it'll have. And will it have?
So, well, it's no secret. We're working with Recure Scale now on the coupling. We want it to, obviously work with their children wagons. So we'll be looking to make the same style coupling as what they've got on there.
Nice. Yeah. And we mentioned it in our chat, about how popular this sort of era of locomotives have been. Obviously, it's a later era for the preserves, but obviously this subject matter is really, really popular. Lion, Tiger, and Stephenson's rockets and things. Why do you think that is? Just because
it's different, isn't it? And people can model a different era. It's quite unique. The locomotives, as you can see, the locomotives around that time are unique. Watching this go up, well, you've all seen the video now, but watching this go around the track, it's so interesting to watch. All the valve gear working and everything. I just think they're charming little models, really.
It really shows off the engineering of the time as well. To have that kind of that amount of working parts on it. It does look amazing, and as Carl says as well, to kind of get to be at this stage with that first running sample is really, really positive from a development perspective and timing perspective as well. So very exciting.
Yeah, I can't say that in the time I've been here that there's been many times where we've got to a range launch and we had like a running sample of such a prolific locomotive from our range. So testament to you guys and to the development.
It's a real piece of history as well, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to buy one, and people will collect them. And people will collect them. So, I think it's lovely.
And another big part of the range was the Margate 70 years of us being here in Margate as we are now. The factory, so we've got a nice range of different locomotives in that era.
And that's a kind of a really lovely story, and obviously a big part of our history and also local history as well. That we've been on this site now. We had a short time away, but essentially been on this site for 70 odd years. Obviously, the manufacturing was done here for the majority of that. So many of the people who've got our products. Before we went to the Far East, we were all actually produced here by local people. And to have an anniversary coming up and to be able to commemorate it and to have some products that are relevant to it as well, it's a really nice story. And from a collector's bit especially, I think it's going to be very, very popular.
I think some of the liveries on there are really nice. Some of the Rovex liveries I particularly like.
And one of the great things when you have a history and you have a big history, it gives you that opportunity to go back and kind of relook at things. And we've seen that work very well with the Triang and a lot of the products that are done for the Centenary range as well. People, especially collectors, respond very, very well for that. So when we've got something kind of new in that essence coming up from an anniversary perspective, it's good that we can jump on that.
Yeah. And then another one, which was one of my picks from the range, and we discussed it a little bit, the 9F Black Prince, which we were saying that generally black locomotives aren't particularly as popular. But a lot of people said, wow, that looks amazing. Probably because of how good the 9Fs were that we've previously released.
That model's a lovely model. It really is. I mean, the detail on it, it's probably one of our most detailed big locomotives we do at the moment. And it's a 9F. There's only one other colour. There's only one other loco on the 9F that run a different colour. So unfortunately, they're all black, but they do sell well. They're an iconic locomotive, aren't they? So.
Brilliant. So other ones that I've picked out. The Mayflower, the early BR Class B1, Tiger, and the coaches. The Royal Mail coaches is a fan favourite amongst my team, especially. There's lots in there. Additions to what we've had before, and then obviously, as we discussed, lots and lots of releases coming throughout the year. But what we wanted to do today was answer some of your live questions. We are also live on TikTok and Instagram. But if you do want to ask a question to Carl or Martyn, get over to YouTube, subscribe, and then you can ask questions live. So we'll get stuck in. Are you ready for this, guys?
Sure.
Right. How should we start? Here we go. CP Model Railway Q asks, will the Isle of Wight coaches carry running numbers? And if yes, will they be different from those in the previous pack?
Yes, to both.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes to both. Nice and easy one. Hello Hornby team, this is from Richard Swiderski. Hello Hornby team, will the Locomotion number 1 be fitted with a speaker, and if so, will there be a sound file upcoming?
So that's one of the things we're working on at the moment. There is a Next 18 decoder socket we've built into the chassis. We're now looking at what we can get into the water tank of the tender to give us a speaker option.
I suppose, with the size of it.
With the size of it, yeah.
It's a different...
So there is a very small Shuki Cube type speaker we're looking at to fit in there.
Brilliant. Storm Bowman Q. I'm assuming that's his name, or the guys have not just put Q next to it. Question. What will the club model be this year? Now, I'm coming to you, Martin, but I'm going to guess you'll say no comment on that.
We're not announcing that just yet. That will be to come.
Yeah.
What will be for the club? Yeah, so you'll have to stay tuned for that one, I'm afraid.
Spares or repair? Are there any HM7000 updates / releases / sound profile news? So obviously in the catalogue itself, we've got some upcoming sound profiles that have got release dates, so Class 91, Class 800, for example.
Yeah, so we've got the first 2 quarters of this year listed in the catalogue. But actually, we've got a meeting this afternoon on this subject to go through what we're going to do next after that with George and Chris, the sound engineer. So we will be putting online a list of those sound profiles very shortly.
Nice, and we've talked to Chris before about it, that on the surface of it, it sounds easy, chuck up a load of sound profiles for people to use, but you want to make sure that these are the best quality that you can get.
Yeah.
And obviously it takes time for Chris to record those things, to check those things. So
yeah, there is only so much we can do, unfortunately. And because it's a new range, we're sort of playing catch up. Right. We've got all these models in our range, but obviously we can't do them all at once. So
you have to go forward and backwards.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It will get better as time passes, but for now we're just concentrating on the more popular locomotives.
Eddie Owen asks, can you fit a TXS sound decoder in the Lion locomotive?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
there you go.
Next 18.
Nice. Next 18. Maury Karan, not to do with this the new releases, but for releases coming up. When will the Black 5 steam generator be ready, and how will the steam work?
So the Black 5...
It's October time, I think we're tracking to at the moment for the Black 5.
Yeah, around then. So it uses a water atomizer, same as the P2 and the A3 models we've got coming out. But we have developed a new sound sync system. So we've got an optical sensor in the chassis. So it's actually picking up the wheel revolutions. So the sound and the steam will be perfectly in time with the pistons and the valve gear of the locomotive. So that it's perfectly synced. And
it's obviously asking how the steam works. We've been to a few shows where you've had it demonstrated.
Yeah.
We've never really gone into sort of detail on how it works.
So basically, you got a water atomizer, which is a piezoelectric disc, and you got two discs with a piezo element between them. And when you apply a voltage to that piezo element, it vibrates at a very high frequency.
Right.
And in those discs, we've got around, I think it's 800 3-micron holes.
Right.
They're tiny. You can't see them. If you look under a magnifying glass, you can see them.
Right.
Anyway, when they vibrate really quickly, and the water under those discs just basically gets atomized, and that's what produces the steam effect. So there's no heat involved. It's just a really low current, but completely safe, and it won't matter if the water runs out and it runs dry.
Right.
There's no issues with that. It doesn't make a mess of your locomotive. So it's really good system.
It does look really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, when we went to Wally, to see it there going around the layout, and it just adds another element to our locomotives, which I think is...
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I mean, as Carl said about the kind of the timing and the sync side of it, and it catches a lot of attention at the events. And the first thing people always do is put their hand over it, so expecting heat, and then they don't get heat, and they look for wet, and they don't really get wet. So it's as Carl said, it's a very kind of clean and safe way of doing it.
Yeah, it's something that I know from my time here. A lot of people were asking for. Live steam and things like that. A lot of people were asking, when are you going to bring something like that back? So, Russell Benton, when is the catalogue available? Right now from our...
They are, yeah, they are in our warehouse. Yes, they're definitely there. We've been told they're there. I haven't actually got one in my hand yet, which is quite funny. They're actually on a van on the way over to us this afternoon, so we can't hold it up and then actually show them, but they are definitely printed and done, so they'll be available for dispatch as from today.
And is it through Key Publishing again?
Yes, we are working with Key Publishing as well, so that means that the catalogue will be available through independent retailers, our website, etc., to buy, or from us at events, but also the kind of, I suppose, cover mount opportunity with Key Publishing through a number of newsstand and key retail outlets. That will come slightly later, maybe a day or so away. I think it varies by retailer, but that will come very soon, so they'll be easy to obtain.
I think what's great about the catalogue this year is the inclusion of sort of articles. You've got, a lot more information about Locomotion and the development of that. I think that's adding another element to the catalogue.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, we're in the digital world that we live in now. We're kind of quite lucky that we can have events like this, and people can ask questions. They're almost in the room with you. And it's the same when we do model railway events. But for people who don't use technology in that way for whatever reason, they then refer to kind of print matter. So whether it's hobby magazines, whether it's our club magazines, or the catalogue. So to us, to be able to include some of that content in a printed format is nice for that group of people.
Yeah, I really like it. So kudos to you for that one. Belinda Mercy asks, will there be any Silver Jubilee articulated coaches in 2025? 2025.
Normally people try and trick you into a 2025 thing, but
I always like asking things like that.
Yeah.
Everyone starts to get a bit, don't say anything.
So we're not announcing anything for 2025 at this stage. I mean, I think sometimes with certain models that we produce, it might be relatively obvious that we're in the next route to go, but no, we're going to be poker face tight lips on this one, so wait and see, I'm afraid.
Sorry Belinda, apologies about that one. European Steam asks, will the Locomotion #1 have an NEM pocket? Something would be great to have so it can haul other rolling stock.
Yeah, so we will have an option for an NEM pocket, yes.
Nice, there you go, European Steam, there will be a NEM pocket option. Breezer 707. Any news on Southern Merchant Navy rebuilt new tooling, which we talked about on Hornby Model World, due to come out? I'd be amazed if you answer. Nice.
The pressure's now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No comment.
No comment.
No comment on that one. Johnny Morgan, hi guys. Is the image of the W1 Streamline Hush Hush in wartime black the intended colour? And if so, how does the model itself differ from previous release? And is there an intended release date? I can look at the release date we've got here.
I think it's Q4. Was it Q3?
So, is it wartime black?
It's wartime black. Yep. So
Q2 is that we've got here, which would be
April to June.
April to June. There you go. April to June. Because it looks very, very almost jet black, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, from memory, it's the double chimney variant. I think the options have been on previous models in some form or another. I don't think there's any special parts on that model. I would have to double check. Yes, it's in wartime black. I actually like it in black. I think it's a nice model in black.
The Johnla. I apologise if I'm getting any of these names right.
I'm glad it's you, not me.
Trouble with YouTube. that sometimes they can be a little bit off. Did you consider making variants of the Terrier to represent Stepney and Fenchurch in preservation? The Terriers have obviously been quite a popular one over the few years.
It's a future option, I suppose. Yeah.
Carl's looking at all the questions. Belinda asked again about the Silver Jubilee articulated coaches.
I like that's good. Yeah, that's clever.
Explosive Cookie. Is there any reason that the L&M coaches are labelled as Era 1 when they're all based upon the 1930s Era 3 built carriages that are different to genuine L&M designs?
That's quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah. So is there any reason that the LMS coaches are labelled as Era 1 when they would not necessarily be Era 1s, so 1930s? The Era system.
The era system I think can be open to kind of quite a lot of debate and sometimes it can get into be really complex in history. The era system really is more of a guide for people that perhaps are a bit more new to it, and they kind of come along and they look at potentially the Hornby range, especially online, and there's an abundance of items, and they really want to kind of hone into a kind of a particular period or region. That's kind of what it's there for, rather than potentially being like an out-and-out historical guide to when the real thing was there. So I think there's always open to a bit of debate on it.
Yeah. So for example, Locomotion is, you're saying era 11 because it's
preserved. Yes.
But obviously, it would have been era 1 if it was based
And then,
on when it was made and things like that.
And what if that ever at one stage in another era looked like that and come back to it? It's just like they change the livery, preserve locos. If you do it now, it can get quite complicated.
Have we always done the era system, or was it the era system introduced at a certain point?
I think it was introduced at a certain point. I don't think we've always done it.
No, I think it's relatively new, and unless many years ago it was done, but definitely I think it was introduced in recent-ish years.
But then even then, you're going by what
they
decided at that point, and then you're kind of...
And of course, other people, other outlets and model rails, or have their own earring, and are they all aligned? I don't know.
Godly Destroyer. How does the DCC work in the Class 755?
So, to run the flirt, you need two decoders, one at each end, and we have the option for a third decoder in the middle. That will only be used for sound if you want to run the power pack of the flirt as a diesel unit only, just for sound, and that way you can run the two end cars. So they just produce an electric motor noise and all the horns and things like that. So it needs 2 as a minimum, but you can run 3 if you want the ultimate sort of sound experience.
Nice. Haunted Halloween Railway. Nice, I like the name. When are you releasing the last 2 coaches for the 390 Pride?
We are... Sorry, I missed...
The Pride.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on that. I'll have to come back on that.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to come back on a latter episode of Sigma Box for that one. Paul Tyndall, any updates on the Coronation coaches? I know, a very popular one.
So we are, well, obviously people have seen the engineering prototypes at Worley, if you was there. We had them on show. But we are just started work on the decoration samples now. Nice. So they're moving along. Mr.
666, will further Ruston 88 liveries be made? I'd love a Western example.
Yes, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a really popular locomotive for us, and obviously we've just got we've had the first releases out now. So we're working on new ones as we speak, actually.
Nice. Peachy TT 120 asked, and I understand the April TT 120 announcement, so we'll be announcing products in April for TT, but will we see a TT 120 club wagon?
That's an interesting idea.
On that point, if we were talking about this earlier, if you do have any product suggestions or anything like that, you can email them, right? Yeah,
and please do, and the email address to send them to is marketing@hornby.com. And then we kind of collate all those as the same as what we do off social media, and when we do events as well. They all go into kind of a massive database almost, and then when we're future planning, we factor those into it where we can.
Earlier in the Range Knots video, we had someone asking for a banana train. So just a big yellow banana.
I remember the Fifes wagon with the sliding door when I was a kid. Actually,
Class 158 productions. Will the FGW Class 153 be tampo printed or transfer?
Still in development, unfortunately, so I can't answer that one.
Okay. Mark Waitman, Q, is the Locomotion #1 your nod to the 200th anniversary of the Stockton and Darlington, or do you have another model in mind to commemorate this iconic anniversary? Well, that would be 2025 if we did.
Yeah, so that's one to remember to ask in a year's time, isn't it?
But obviously, we can't ignore the fact that is.
Yeah, it's a big anniversary for the railway industry and history of railway. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose.
New Bryford. Any news on the TPE 802 announced a while ago?
Yep. So we showed. I'm not sure if you saw this. The last video was it we done where I showed off the decoration sample.
Yeah.
So that's the first decoration sample we had. We had some issues with a few of the colours. So actually, we have just received updated decoration samples. So we adjusted the blues and the silvers, and they are looking really nice now. So we're just about to push a button on production.
Nice. Aaron Veal. When will the 00 gauge Flying Scotsman with steam generator, sound, firebox, flicker, and TXS HM7000 DCC engine be available?
All in one breath. We're looking at summertime. It's June to July at the moment. That's tracking to, yeah.
June, July, Aaron. June, July. Hanning's Rest Model Railway. Will the next batch of HM7000 decoders be able to work with DC controllers as promised?
It all depends what DC controller you're using. I mean, the issue is the DC controller. It's the voltage it's giving to the decoder.
Right.
As we say to everyone, the best thing to do is use a transformer and buy a little harness that plugs into your track, and you don't need a controller then. You can eliminate the controller problem. So that's always the way we recommend to use the HM7000 system.
Cool. Explosive Cookie again. Seeing the Black 5 samples at Worley, how are the lamps going to work? Will they be interchangeable so we can display appropriate head codes?
On the Black 5, is that?
Yeah.
Yep. So they are going to be removable, and you can change the head codes. The additional lamps and lamp brackets you'll need to do that will be in the accessory bag. But I will make one point. These are small parts. You really need to have some modelling skills to be able to do this well. Okay, so we're dealing with really small parts here, and just take care and when you're changing over the head codes. But each lamp position has got an LED behind it, so in theory you can do any lamp code you want.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say on that, and if that's a scary thought for anyone, and that I'm sure there are plenty of people out across the community that can actually sort of help with that sort of thing, whether it's via the magazine or online world.
Nice. The model railer. Love to ask, will we be able to purchase smoke generators? I assume that as in, will you be able to have smoke generators
to retrofit?
To retrofit, yeah. So not at the moment, no, because the system, there's so many changes that we have to make to the chassis and the model to be able to fit these steam generators in. That we actually redesigned the chassis to accommodate it. So you can't, at the moment, you can't retrofit them.
Okay. Simon Snow, when is the LNER P2 class Prince of Wales with steam generator coming?
I think it's October time, is it, Martin?
Yes, from memory, right.
Nice. October time, Simon. Aussie War 26, when will the Greater Anglia
Sorry,
flirt?
actually, I'll stop you there. Going back to the P2 question, if that's the first P2 we announced with steam generator, that's in March, I believe.
Oh, the steam gen. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's
2007.
That's tracking to February, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I believe February last night. Yeah,
there you go. So
that's the first.
We've got another release of the P2 with the smoke deflectors, and that's coming in later.
It's later, yeah. So confusing.
Q4 to 2024.
When will the Greater Anglia Flirt be released? Finally going to have a Norwich line.
Yeah, we're looking at June.
Yeah, summertime. Yeah.
We'll see. Flirt is there on the table, which we showed off in the, and a lot of people have said how great that looks, and it really does, especially when you've got it all raked up and everything.
Just on the Flirt as well, because I know there were a number of comments where people were looking forward to seeing where we go next with it, and we have got other places to go with it. But one thing we're very, very conscious on, that rather announcing yet more things off something that people haven't bought yet, we'd rather get the first one out and into people's hands before we build on that any further. So there is more to come on that.
Nice. Red E2 engine. I'm quite curious to know what sets can we look forward to this year. It would be such fun to see something like the 040s that paid the awesome homage to the former Thomas and Friends model. obviously we've got the Try and Remembered set is the only addition to this year's train set range.
For train sets this year, yes, we're continuing, and there'll be an area which an update going forward. So with train sets, I mean, I suppose there are kind of two ways. Like if you look at the Triang side of it, that's very much a collector piece. We only produce a limited amount, and then if you look at our other train sets, which go anywhere from a Santa's Express right there up to a Flying Scotsman or Mallard Record Breaker, that they generally tend to sit in the range a bit longer, because they're very often where people begin, and therefore there's kind of, I suppose, less of a need to sort of change those so frequently. But there will be some freshness coming through that in the future, no doubt.
Nice. And we've obviously, since you've started, we talked a little bit about train sets and things like that, and how there's a lot of development behind the scenes going on about train sets and things like that, isn't there?
Yeah, that's very true. And quite often with range launch days, there's obviously a much greater focus on perhaps more the kind of the hobby, the collector. Let's say stuff for the people that are potentially more established and underway in model railway. But yes, behind the scenes, we're working on a number of projects. We want to get more people into this great hobby. That's what kind of keeps it ticking across all ages, genders, and everything. And to do that, you have to have the right product, potentially, at the right price point, and available to get in the right place. And there are certain things that to be able to achieve that, you have to do, and they take time. But that is another focus for us, in addition to the stuff we're talking about today. I think that's very important for Hornby. I think many people's, if not the majority of people out there who have model railways, that their journey could have well started with Hornby, and we need to be thinking about the next generation.
Yeah, it's definitely a memory that is shared a lot, of opening that first train set and starting that lifelong journey that they're on from that first initial train set. So I've got to say a thank you to Scania on TikTok for a gift. Thank you. I'm not sure which phone we're on TikTok. Timothy the Ghost Train, are you ever going to make a preserved edition of Stepney?
Again, we can't really go into what we're doing.
If there's keen people out there, they can tell. So if anyone does psychology, they'll be able to tell from me.
But it's a good suggestion.
When they start with, you're doing that, and you oops.
This might be a slightly uncomfortable question from Jen Rizal. Will the Hornby website ever price match to Amazon? It always seems cheaper and quicker to order via Amazon. Logically, it makes more sense to encourage purchase from Hornby direct. Amazon is obviously...
So I mean, without getting into kind of all the boring things of how Amazon actually works, Amazon actually looks out to find and try and be the cheapest price a lot of the time. So if you try and keep going down, things keep going down and down and down. And as a kind of a manufacturer, we try to kind of set what we believe is the correct retail price for our products. And then what other people wish to do with those, that's entirely up to them. We have kind of no control over it, and we're perhaps a bit more focused on what we want to do, rather than kind of spending a lot of time chasing what others are doing.
Joe Darling asked, and I like this one, any chance of Halloween wagons similar to Christmas wagons? Might be fun to haul a wagon of pumpkins.
Well, that's a cracking idea.
Actually, Mike in our team, he created like a Halloween loco for.
That's the first thing that came to my mind when you read that question. That was done for a bit of fun, but why not make it real? These pumpkins have got to be transported around somehow.
A nice big orange locomotive. I bet that's not been done before.
Face.
Triple X.
Storm Bowman, will there be a Triple X sound version of the Class 08 Dick Hardy? If so, will it have a creep function?
So we haven't got any DCC sound fitted version of that locomotive in the range planned at the moment, but not to say it won't appear in the future. Is that right, Martin?
That's a feel.
Linny Linhan, looking at the Locomotion model, is there a coupling on the rear?
Yes, there will be a coupling on the rear. Yes,
And Eurovnik, does Locomotion have a speaker fitted?
Yep. Again, as we briefly mentioned, we're now looking at a speaker option for the tender.
Shredder lives on. Yes, he does. Any plans to release the Beatles Eurostar coaches? They were quite popular a few years back.
Yeah. Eurostar's a bit of a problem at the moment because there's issues with the tooling. Right. It's got of an age where it needs a bit of a refresh. So at the moment, it's not at a production state. Mm-hmm. We need to spend some money on the tooling. So at the moment, I don't think we've got any plans at the moment to produce any Eurostars.
And that's a problem we face with models or tools that have been used a lot for sort of high volumes. They do need sort of TLC and investment and time. And I don't just mean money; it's also in time. And it then becomes thinking, what do you prioritise your time in? Is it new stuff or amending the old? You know, a lot of people talk about they want to see new tooling and that. Then it becomes very difficult to spend a lot of time on those things. So that's the conundrum we sometimes have.
Class 37 lover. Is there any updates on the Southern Class 4234 VEP? When it might be hitting the shops? Any update on VEP?
They come into the warehouse on the 18th of Jan, I believe.
Very soon.
Yeah, right. There you go. Very, very soon. James Akers, are there any plans to produce more of the Shell grey and black TTA tanks in future launches?
Yes. Well, those TTA tankers, obviously, they're new tooling. We're going to be releasing those for a good number of years coming. So yeah, definitely that will make an appearance.
Shredder Lives On Again has asked about the Locomotion model working with current Era 1 rolling stock and magnetic couplings of Acroscale's children wagons, which you spoke a little bit earlier about.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Ether Mr 666, any chance of having the big brother to the 48 and 88 with the Ruston 168?
Good suggestion.
That's definitely one for marketing at Hornby.com. That one there.
Haunted Halloween Railway. It was like a great A4 goodbye set for people that didn't get a chance to get the Gathering set. So presumably that was the Great Gathering set that we had this time round. Steve sent a gift on TikTok. Thanks, Steve. And I've been told we have catalogues. We've got catalogues.
They've arrived, see. That proves we keep our word. Once they're on their way over.
Nor's coming to us. Thank you, Nor. Wow. There we go.
That's the first ever official viewing of the Hornby catalogue.
There you go. Hands on that. So yeah, there you go. That's the Hornby catalogue you were asking about earlier. Wow. Lovely.
I'm just going to go read it now. This is brilliant.
Model Loco, any news on the Bluetooth dongle release for ExpressNet controllers?
Yes, I believe that is also coming out in January, definitely by February this year.
John Chan asked any option to purchase a smoke deflector kit modification for the 2023 P2.
Yeah, we won't be. We will be releasing that model with smoke deflectors, a non-steam version of it, but not any plans to do spare parts for it yet.
The model railer, will the HM7000 give the option for single whistle sounds rather than through multiple to use? So rather than multiple whistle sounds, for there be a single
that's
whistle?
An interesting one. So yeah, at the moment it cycles through different whistle options. I guess some people prefer a single whistle option. That's one for Chris actually. I need to talk to him and ask him if it could be a CV value we can adjust to make it single whistle.
There you go. Yeah. So model railer. Carl's going to go and ask in his meeting later about it.
He might be watching it now, you know. Yeah. He might get a message in a minute. So yeah.
Explosive Cookie again. With its rising popularity, do you think that Hornby would ever consider branching into 009 in the future? We asked the questions. Richard Swindersky, noticed the APT trains are coming out with the 21-pin decoders. Who bought the first run? Do they convert from 8-pin to 21-pin decoders if you bought 8?
No.
No.
I'm afraid that, the first APTs are what they are, the same as an A3 was 10 years ago. It's product development, and we had some complaints, I guess you would call them, about the first APT. Why wasn't it 21-pin? Mm-hmm. And we had to listen to people's sort of comments, and we'd be we'd get complaints if we didn't listen to people. So we decided to change it for the second one.
That's Tim Davies. Will we see modern stuff like the Class 377? Obviously, modern images usually popular, but never say never.
Yeah, never say never. Yeah.
A lot of people again asking about Locomotive. Number one, working with current era one locomotives. I assume that's rolling stock and things like that.
Yeah. So as I said before, we're looking to get this working with all the current era one rolling stock that's out on the market at the moment. So.
James, any appetite to expand the Christmas range? Christmas tree carrier was a great addition to this popular genre, and there's loads of potential for private owner wagons.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're very popular, aren't they?
They are. The Christmas items do work exceptionally well. So yeah, I think any ideas and suggestions on anything there would be welcomed, and we'd be very open to looking at that.
Someone I saw earlier, which was quite nice, asked, when will you release a train? when will we be releasing a train?
I don't know how to answer that.
When are you planning to release info on new locomotives later this year? There you go, someone's trying to...
Well, those dates aren't specified at the moment, so we can't give an exact date. But one thing I can say is there will be more than one, and they will be relatively evenly spread, hopefully. And some may come as a complete surprise, and some we may drop some hint to in a signal box and bits and pieces. So it's definitely, it's not going to be like a kind of a fixed calendar approach of on this date there'll be something, on that date it'll be something. It will be potentially a little bit more out of the blue.
Nice. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to here and follow our social media platforms, because you never know when something might drop.
Maybe we'll get it when you're least expecting it.
Storm Bowman, will the Elite and Select stay in the programme, or will you go full HM7000?
That's still under debate at the moment. Some people still do like using the DCC system and prefer a controller to operate their layouts with.
That's one of the things with technology. Whilst it's great as we evolve, there is always a legacy behind it that needs to be supported. And I don't think there are any short-term plans on that, but you never know what the longer-term future may look like and what the right thing is to do. All we ever want to do really is the right thing, and that won't ever be the right for everyone, but it's for the kind of the majority and the sort of the most sensible thing to do. And I don't think that would be anything in the short term.
In some way, the Elite controller is becoming part of the HM7000.
Right.
I guess system, because we're doing the dongle that goes into it. That can act as a club adapter, so you can use it in a club environment and have an Elite controller controlling your layout, but a number of tablets connected, so people can
all be part of the system as a whole.
All be part of the system. So in that, I guess in that sense, it is becoming part of the HM7000 system.
Rail Tourer asked, is there a release month for the Black 5 44726? I know it's spring, but when is spring? So spring is for us
soon, hopefully. But no, when we say spring, we'll be looking at March, April, and the truth is, with a release, when something's going to be released, we couldn't actually say hand on heart until it's actually going out the door, because whilst things might be leaving the factory, they might be on their way over. They could get diverted. If you've seen the news recently, that can affect it. Sometimes things arrive and maybe something is kind of missing or not quite right, and then we have to make changes. So it's kind of difficult to be pinpoint accurate. And what we tend to do, we start off with a longer term by saying a quarter or a season, and as we get a little bit closer to it, if we can say a month or more likely 2 months, then we'll say that. But that's tracking Feb, March at the moment.
Nice. Double O gauge rail. Is there any plans to include sound profiles for locos outside of Hornby's current range? For example, Class 20, Class 57.
It is something we want to do, but at the moment we just haven't got the resource to do.
Prioritise.
We've got to prioritise the Hornby models, but definitely in the future, it's something to really expand HM7000. I think it's an important thing we need to think about. So yes, I mean in the future maybe.
Storm Bowman suggested we need a brake van for Santa's Express. Put Rudolph in there with his red nose to finish the train.
Yes, yeah. A bit more fun to it. Don't worry for that.
Shredder lives on. As Hornby is focused on trying remembered, are there any plans to bring back things like the giraffe car?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
You know, when you look through one of those old Triang catalogues, there's so much play value in that. You know, they have rockets on the back of the wagons and things. You know, it just looks great, and I think there's some stuff we really need to seriously think about.
It's a really interesting thing because it brings a lot more kind of imagination and maybe steps away from realism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are or were toys really when they were launched, and now even with a toy train that is produced, they're then to be quite real. And yeah, I think there's definitely. I mean, obviously you can go back and commemorate those as we do with Triang, but from looking at it from a different angle, perhaps from the lens of a child, and that adding a bit more fun to these kinds of things if it's not real. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Well, they're popular back then. Why wouldn't they necessarily be popular now? Dongit's model railway. How do you decide what is railroad and what is main range? Railroad, and what is main range? So how do you decide railroad and main range?
It's all to do with the obviously the detail level on the model and the mechanism. You know, if it's a diesel electric, normally the railway model would have a single bogie drive with traction tyres, just to help keep the cost down. But we are tending to put a little bit more decoration on our railroad models now to just make them appear, a little bit more nice on the layout. And we have actually got our Railroad Plus range now, which is where we really do put a lot of decoration on the model. We'll make it a bit more detailed. So yeah, generally it's the detail level and the mechanics of the model.
Mm-hmm. And often I think people think that it's all a price-driven thing, and it's actually not. You know, there are a lot of people out there that don't want high detail. You know, they fear they'll break it, or they're just not interested. They want to run trains around. They'd rather have 3 lower spec locomotives than 1 high detail. Whereas there are people out there that want the other. And I think the whole industry has done a great thing of evolving and in technology and in detail and going up and up and up and up, and it's absolutely marvellous to see. And that's great for people that potentially have always been on that journey and can afford it. For people coming in, that's kind of quite a leap, and that's where railroad kind of feels. And we're seeing a lot more popularity in railroad, and there's definitely a big opportunity around that.
Nice. Nathan Monday asked, "What's your favourite from this year's range?" So do you have a favourite? Is there one that stands out for you?
Do you want to go first, or do we go first?
Easy for me.
Locomotion.
Yeah, Locomotion. Yeah.
I'm torn between 2/3. So one is the Isle of Wight Terrier and coaches, because I've got childhood memories of visiting the Isle of Wight Steam Railway a lot. So that's and I'm on various Facebook groups as well. That anyway, we'll be on that now. Anyway, and so that for me kind of is nice, but actually for me it's actually Mayflower, and there's a bit of story that goes with it. Is when I worked in Hornby many years ago, I was sent off on a trip when I was young, and to do some research for some Scoudale buildings, and I found myself on a heritage railway in the middle of the week, and I was going to try and get a picture of, I think it was an engine shed, and I thought before I did it, I thought I'd better go and ask if it was okay, and I wandered down the side of this line, and there's no one around, but the doors are open of an engine shed. And I actually walked in, and not knowing a Mayflower was in there. It's kind of one of my sort of first memories in kind of heritage, and in a kind of a work environment of stumbling across it and being like, wow, what's this? And then they had to step back to actually see what it was and reading the nameplate. So yeah, there's a little bit of a soft spot there for Mayflower for me.
Nice. Nick Scott asks, how easy is it to change the calipers on a BMW 3 Series?
Tell you, I will talk to him later.
in joke there. In joke there.
We got Peachy TT120. Will you be expanding the HM7000 app to cover things such as automation?
But we are developing things like that. Yes, we are looking at that. So.
What's we got?
Actually, the automation system we're looking at is actually already the app's already capable of it. It's just not a function that people are aware of at the moment. So,
Clyde Bridge Station. What made you decide to model 47522 Doncaster Enterprise in LNER Apple Green livery? Got it on pre-order from local retailer Frank here.
It's just there's obviously a bit of research we do on every model, and we thought that would be the more popular livery for that particular model. So yeah, that's the reason.
Someone else, Schroeder lives on, asking about bringing back the Minic motorway system, which
I'd love to. I saw this when we done the Great British Model Rail Show this year. A guy had a massive layout of the Mimic. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
And it was Jules Holland, wasn't it?
Yeah, especially from that, time, all that time ago, they had that sort of technology. I think it's great.
Jonathan Duffy, 123. Are there any steam generator models coming this year? So,
yeah. So we've got the P2, the A3, and the Black 5 coming out. We've got another P2 with smoke lifting cows. We've announced, and there are more on the way.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're sort of wrapping up a little bit, but before we go, a few people have been asking about the news about Hattons. We kind of wanted to address that a little bit, so I'll let Martyn say a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, really kind of shocked, but more so saddened by the news about Hattons. It's a big thing. They've been such a huge and still are a huge part of the industry. We've worked closely with them for many years, and I actually remember when I first started out at Hornby, and I did I got taken around by some of our sales guys, and I got taken to the old Hattons shop at Liverpool, and I remember going in there, and it was it didn't really look like a shop. It looked more, it's just more kind of shelves, and it wasn't. And then out the back they were working on this website, and then this website. I don't know what a website is, but anyway, back then e-commerce wasn't a huge thing like it is now, and they were kind of one of the kind of the masterminds of getting that going in this industry. And it's a real shame, and I kind of hope that the people there are all kind of okay and have and their futures are okay. Yes, it's a very sad news, but kind of we are in a tough industry in a tough world, and things are changing. And I know some people have been kind of commenting about what can people do, whether it's kind of consumers or whether it's manufacturers or other retailers to kind of help out, and it's a very difficult one because it's essentially it's shopping, isn't it? And I think all we can kind of do is carry on as we're doing, really.
And then obviously, like we were saying earlier about focusing on bringing more people into the hobby so that we can keep everything going for everyone and continue this hobby that's been going around for
definitely, yeah. It is still a growing hobby, which is great, but a lot of people a lot of the people now who are buying our kind of products, especially if you look at all the things that we've spoken about predominantly today, which have been mainly about locos. The people that are buying those, their journey started out somewhere, and very often it was train set as a kid. If they didn't have it themselves, they knew someone that did, or their father did, or something, or their brother did, or whatever. And it really is important that we invest in that. People talk about railroad. That's something very, very key for kind of growing and getting more people in, and also having kind of friendly and informative environments for people to go to. I mentioned earlier about changing the lamps on locos. For some people that's something that's very scary and difficult. And for someone who might just be on the other end of a keyboard somewhere, or even sort of close by geographically, that's quite easy. And it's those kinds of things that we need to kind of come together on, really, and keep it kind of ticking along.
Yeah. And then before we go, obviously, we said before that although we've got new announcements, we've obviously got lots of releases coming out this year for things. Are there any kind of standout ones for you, Carl, that you're excited about? We've got Lumo in front of us and Flirt as well.
I mean, striking livery for the Lumo. The Flirt's going to be massive. I mean, it's really, really high detailed model. We've got all the Black Fives coming out, the Coronation coaches, the Streamline B17. So lots to look forward to, and I think it's going to be a great year for the railway industry. Really.
Yeah. Well, we'll finish up there. Thank you so much for joining me, Carl and Martyn. We really appreciate it. And thank you for answering some of the more difficult questions. Thank you to you at home on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube for giving us your questions. We're hoping that we can make this more a regular thing so that we can get that sort of back and forth that you, Martyn, and I have spoken about that with you at home. So yeah, thank you for watching the range launch video. Thank you for joining us on range launch day. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. New releases could be coming out. You don't know where to get them, where we're going to announce them. They could be on TikTok, they could be on Instagram, they could be here on YouTube. So yeah, anything you'd like to say, guys?
I just want to say a big thank you for joining us today, and echoing what we were saying, it's going to be an exciting year for us, and there is more news to come. And yeah, look forward to seeing you in the not so distant future.
Just thank you to everyone. I mean, thank you for your kind comments. We do listen and try and please everyone. So just thank you for talking to us, and keep it up in the future.
And thanks to the team behind the camera that have been doing everything for us. So he's Carl, he's Martyn, I'm Mike, we're Hornby, and we'll see you at the next stop.